English. Possibly you remember the brief cable stories filed early in October of 1944 and emanating from the remote village of Great Blaze in Essex County. An American bulldozer pushed away a huge stone which had pinned down the witch of Scrapfaggot Green for more than 200 years and released, so we are told, a particularly malicious poltergeist. Villagers insisting that church bells rang in the dark hours, heavy scaffolding poles were scattered like matchsticks, large haystacks flew over on single still nights, and enormous stones were carried considerable distances. Well, at least in people's perception, right? Maybe it happened on a different level. And certainly their faith in those beings made things possible that wouldn't have otherwise been possible in their experience. Wars and great disasters have always played curious tricks upon the mass mind. The appearance of the crucified Christ over England, attested by eminent divines and other impressionable souls, reminds us of the spine-chilling manifestations of World War I, in which the archers of Agincourt swept in with shadowy longbows and deadly arrows to turn the desperate tide of battle and save the day for England. By curious coincidence, England is once again utilizing the Witchcraft Act of 1735 to punish dabblers in the occult. And some of that was even tried in California, but the Constitution prevailed. On April 3rd, 1944, Miss Helen Duncan, a 46-year-old medium, or witch, as she would have been called in the earlier era. Yeah, because nowadays people are pretending, oh no, I'm not dealing with the spirits that you call demons. Was sentenced in Old Bailey to 9 months imprisonment. Make the witch burning perfect in every detail. The conviction came on a Friday. There were 3 other defendants. Another magic number. The trial lasted 7 days. 7 is a natural in any language. And bewildered witch held traditional silence for all 7 days, crying out at the sentence, "I've done nothing, oh God, is there a God? But those who make a pact with the devil have a powerful friend. Let inquisitors beware." Do you know what happened to Old Bailey? It was struck by German bombs. That the devil had a merry time in merry England for many centuries is attested by the vast literature of diabolism. The naive fulminations against witches and sorcerers, and the truly diabolic persecutions of those suspected of having intercourse with the devil. Well, there are people who actively have spirit sex. I think that's what you call it. While it is true that the Roman and later the Christian influence seemed rather quickly to destroy the ancient paganism of the Druids, it is also true that fertility rites and Sabbaths of prehistoric origin were celebrated up to the 18th century. The dances and the feasts of Candlemas, February the 2nd, Rudemas, May 3rd, Lammas, August 1st, and All Hallows Eve were night-long celebrations, often of a bacchanalian variety. Well, wouldn't it be the night before the first of those months? Or whatever, but I mean, the cross quarters are different, though. They always did their thing before the cross quarter. The similarity of these celebrations throughout Europe and the similar methods by which the Christian hierarchy, backed by the civil law, sought to destroy this earlier and rival form of religion, gave recognizable pattern to every witch and devil story in European folklore. England's legal definition of a witch is a person who hath conference with the devil to consult with him or to do some act. Since any sort testimony save that of the accursed was given credence, thousands went to their deaths through the monomaniacal efforts of bigots, hysterically certain that they were fighting the devil. Well, perhaps they held the same standards for themselves, and bigots wouldn't be the right word for that if they held the same standards for them and their own. Devil lore in England and elsewhere might be divided into 4 categories. The naive testimony of accused or accuser in witchcraft trials. The pseudo-philosophical studies of eminent divines and other dabblers. Serious and enlightened works by scientific students. And artistic representations, both naive and sophisticated, in fiction, verse, and drama. And the 4th category are a great many delightful and fanciful works of the earliest morality plays, through Byron's Cain to George Bernard Shaw's Man and Superman, and Sylvia Townsend Warner's Lolly Willows. Generally speaking, the modern reader will find them readable in inverse proportion to his belief in the subject. For as A.E. Usman once observed, the material in this section runs the gamut from naivete to sophistication. In fact, from Friar Bacon to John Collier, the selection from William J. Donne's early English romances pictures the wily fiend as a very real menace to the soul of a gentleman who made the usual infernal bargain. But fortunately, in this case, the sophistry of the clergy was more than a match for the greed of banker or barrister from the nether regions, and it must have comforted many a sinful wretch to see the devil thus hoisted on his own petard. The selection from Alfred or Tennyson is interesting chiefly as evidence of the fact that Queen Victoria's poet laureate was as good a poet as 14 as he would ever become, though in later years he drew his inspiration from less diabolical sources. The current laureate, John Masefield, in The Devil and the Old Man, would seem to testify that in the days of wooden ships and iron men, the master of a ship was everything that the name implies. Masefield, drawing upon an old fisherman's legend, has the devil pay 9 and 20 silver pennies in earnest money. Pine noted a similar folk theme involving similar coins, and the tale rings other pieces of silver down the years, from the 30 which betrayed Christ and those that paid Charon's faring fee, to the solid silver service on which the devil spread a feast for the artists in William Makepeace, Thackeray's The Painter's Bargain. And let us remember that, graved goods don't translate over into tools in the afterlife. The mentality that you die with, your deeds and all that stuff, that stuff is what really matters. Your legacy. The Collier extravaganza runs the gamut of fantasy, usually reserved for Hollywood musical productions. It embodies the fundamental appeals of sin, sex, and sophistry, with ironic observations upon feminine psychology. Even Einstein might be confused by Collier's discovery that the universe is shaped like a vast pint of beer. Drink up, old chap. A lot of arguments about what shape the universe is. Is the universe shaped like the DNA coils, or how is it shaped? And then there's talk about the multiverse, both in mythology and now in theoretical thinking.